Okay,
What?
podcast starts
Okay.
now.
Oh
What's
my
up,
God.
everybody, and welcome to StraightioLab.
Wow, to immediately start with an eye roll, Sam.
George, we need this.
I cannot believe this. I said, first of all, I did a little shoulder move, kind of my one of my classic choreo moves. I said, "Ooh, I've had too much coffee," and then I did a shoulder tour, a shoulder. What would you call it? Like
A
a
shoulder
little side to
shimmy,
side
almost.
shoulder shimmy,
Yeah.
and then you rolled your eyes and said, "Okay, let's start."
I think a huge point of disagreement is on
Yeah,
our moods in the morning.
sure.
You love the stuff. You are so into it, and I'm at my most not loving the stuff in the morning, which is fine. I think that can be a beautiful
Mm,
relationship, but I do think it shifts our dynamic. Whereas, I think potentially, canonically, you would be the grumpy one.
yeah.
You come in with this like peppy energy, and it's like, and I'm like so like, okay, we get it, and being like a bitch about it.
Right. Well, I think, and we'll talk about this a little more when we bring in our guest, but, our guest is also a colleague of mine today. And for us during the weekday, mornings mean a very specific thing, which is that we work in a kind of a breaking news newsroom. And from 8:30 p.m., sometimes even earlier through lunchtime, we are on the clock looking for the breaking news stories, seeing if Meghan Markle attended an event in Boston, seeing if Ben Affleck kind of left his apartment and wore a T-shirt. And so when in the weekend I have the morning free, it is, I mean, the world is my oyster. I can go out
Mm.
and I can purchase an iced Americano. I can go into my kitchen and I can put cottage cheese on a piece of toast. These are things that I normally cannot do between the hours of 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. on a weekday.
Sure, sure.
And I think part of why I've really started advocating for recording on, I would say, brunch time on Sundays
Hmm.
is because I can kind of instill the recording with a sense of um just kind of careless or what's not carelessness, what am I
Carefree.
Joie de vivre.
carefreeness. Thank you. Yes, joie de vivre, carefreeness. Yes. And so and I stand by it. And if you're in a bad mood, I'll tell you this. I'm in such a good mood that I'm going to bring you right up to my level.
I don't know if that's how it works, but I love the idea.
Wow, shut down yet again.
I just think I think it's more of like a it's like a slow warming up process. Like
Mhm.
I need to get there on my own, and no one can get me
Of
there.
course. Of course. And to be candid, I went to bed early last night and woke up today at around 8:30, which is not normal for me on a weekend. So I'm way ahead of you in that regard.
Sure,
If
sure,
this has
sure.
been yesterday when I woke up hungover, and kind of trying to stuff Tylenol down my throat, it would have been a different story.
Speaking of your hungover, do you
Yeah.
want to talk about this thing that happened to you
You know
in
what?
your big NYC
Yeah.
socialite lifestyle?
You know what? I'm taking a risk. I really am taking a risk by addressing this, and I hope that it pays off.
I think it will. I think it will pay off in ways that we won't understand for a long time, but it will pay off.
I want to make it so clear. It's difficult because I feel like people will assume I'm somehow being ironic or not earnest in my excitement about this. And do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. That's a
Yeah,
fear, but
yeah,
I think you just have to trust the audience and trust that they'll read your tone as sincere.
yes. And I also don't want to. What's the word? What do you do to privacy? Violate anyone's privacy.
What's that thing you
What's the
do to
thing? I
privacy?
can't. It's interesting. It's interesting that I'm actually so awake and supposedly alert, and yet I can't think of normal English words.
Describing it as that is really fun though. What's that thing that I always do to private violate? I always
Yeah.
violate privacy. That's it.
So basically, long story short, on Friday night, I found myself at a birthday party in a bar in beautiful, sunny Brooklyn, New York,
God, I love that place.
and I met one Miss Allison Roman, and we had a full conversation. It touched on New York versus LA. It touched on our experiences of the Bay Area, and there was one more thing we talked about that that I can't think of. And again, I don't want to blow her spot because this was a normal friendly conversation. I did not go into it as a fan. I did not go into it as a stan. I did not go into it as someone who has emailed her to be on our podcast. I went into it as a human and as a New Yorker and as a person who was also at this party.
And that's all you
And
can do.
and the fact that I went into it, had the conversation, left, she had other things to do. I had other things to do. We had other people to talk to. And I thought, should I address it on the pod in the hopes that someone who listens then tells her, they really want you to go on the pod? Or would that be gauche? Would that be crossing a line? Would that be violating her privacy? And I've
Well,
ultimately decided to speak out.
I think it's important to speak out. And I think, as I always say, well behaved podcasters rarely make history.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to make a splash. And I don't think, it's sort of shoot your shot mentality. Like
Yeah.
you just have to do it. But also, for context for people that don't know, this is a podcast about gay culture, but it's also a podcast about making a podcast, but it's also a podcast in which we talk about Allison Roman
That's
once every
yeah.
3 months.
Once every 3 months, we talk about Alison Roman, each time with more enthusiasm, I would say. A recent peak was when we went on a, depending on who you ask, either gay or straight vacation, where we basically made an entire meal of Alison Roman recipes, I would argue.
Yeah.
And it was your first time having one.
I literally, you saying the word Allison Roman on like episode 3 of this podcast was the first time I heard her name.
Yeah.
And then that was my first time having any of her recipes. And
And you had three at
and
once. You had a dip, you had a potato salad, and you had a different kind of salad that is now escaping me.
I was loving them. They were so good. I
Yeah.
was all in. So then I was like, well, finally it's time. We got to get her on the pod
Right.
so I can say thank
And
you.
I do think and again, I don't want to project this onto her, but in my mind, she is in an era of her public life, her career, where it actually would make sense to come on this pod. That's how I feel.
I think it would make complete sense.
Yeah.
I actually think
What's difficult is that it's up to us to make the sell.
yeah, what would be good about coming on this particular podcast?
Listen, I think it's always good to let your hair down and prove that you have a sense of humor. She is working so hard releasing videos every Tuesday. She just made pizza. What if she has an opportunity to be on camera without having to create a recipe, without having to, talk to her director off camera and say, "Oh, make sure to cut this part, make sure to add this part in." Just kind of be a guest for once, not a host.
So you're saying she's using food as a crutch, and it's time to just
You
let
know
the
what?
personality shine.
That is actually what I'm saying. And thank you for putting it in such blunt terms, because to me it's like, listen, why is it always about food with her?
It's so crazy. It's like she's obsessed with food in this way. That's like, is this really about the food?
Yeah. And sometimes I'm like, wait a minute. Why is she so obsessed with food and not with analyzing straight culture? That would be more relatable to me. It's kind of something I also do in my day-to-day life.
That would be so deeply relatable, and I think to many, many people, because food is like, yeah, some people do it, but talking about straight culture
Yeah,
sort of in a what's the word, with an ironic sense of detachment, I think
sure.
that's more relatable.
Yeah, and no one's really talking about things with an ironic sense of detachment these days. She needs to get her ass up and work at having an ironic sense of detachment.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I'm going to do a quick search of the comments in her latest YouTube video. Go on StraightioLab, go on StraightioLab, go on StraightioLab, go on StraightioLab. Wow.
Wow. That's amazing.
And I'm looking at the profile pictures. It's people of all ages, all diverse, all walks of life. It's interesting.
Wow.
Everyone actually is begging.
Oh, wait, I'm reading the comments too. Oh my God, everyone's
Yeah.
posting their socioeconomic background. Oh my
Oh my
God.
God. Is it diverse?
It's extremely diverse. We have like really, really rich people and really, really poor people. It's amazing.
Wow. And you know what I think is, like, each one of them has their own community. So if she comes on the podcast, then inevitably her audience will grow. All these people begging her to come on the pod that will then tell their friends to listen. I mean, it could actually kind of be the little, and I heard she's in the process of promoting a new CNN show. Do you know what I would do if I were promoting a CNN show?
What?
Probably go on a hit podcast on Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network.
Well,
Do you know who I think would be a great person to weigh in on all of this?
Our guest, potentially?
Our guest.
Oh.
Can you believe? Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
Uh-oh.
uh-oh. Here it comes.
I'll say this. The fact that I get paid to read our guest's writing multiple times a day is one of the great joys of my life.
And the fact
And
that I don't get paid to read our
Yeah.
guest writing is one of the...
And you do it anyway.
And I do it anyway, and it's just one of the great crimes of this century.
Yes. I do think, first of all, I think everyone who reads it should pay her, should Venmo her.
yeah.
Venmo request.
Venmo request.
I'll give everyone $1.
So without further ado, please welcome world-renowned glamour girl, Claire Carusillo.
Thank you so much for having me. Am I the first guest you've ever had on that's a fan?
No, that's a really presumptuous thing to say.
Yeah, actually,
We've had many people on that are fans.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone's a huge fan.
A huge fan.
Yeah, everyone listens weekly. Everyone's like a big fan. No, we never have to explain the segments to any of our guests.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever people feel surprised or confused by the segments, we're always like, "Wow, good performance!"
Yeah, this
like
is acting.
you did that so that
Right.
it would seem like you don't listen.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that as like a callback in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, Claire, how do you think we can get Alison Roman on the pod?
Well, I first have a clarifying question for you.
Yeah.
Did you see my dog's tail in the background there?
Yeah, but he's being such a good boy.
Wow, I thought it was
Yeah,
a cat, to be honest.
I know he's sort of got that mentality to him. My question is, when you approached Alison Roman at this birthday party, did you do any sort of acknowledging that you had already reached out to her or had the podcast people reach out to her?
This is a great
Or
question.
It's a great question. So, I mean, I have to say, I have to really give a shout out to myself and pat myself on the back for being extremely natural throughout this whole. We just happened to be in the same group, and I just like, and so I was like, oh, George, Allison, and then we just like had a normal conversation. It was
About LA versus New York.
Yeah, like I didn't go up to her and tap her on the shoulder and say like, you're Allison, right? It was natural.
George, this is where I'm worried that you are lacking in that killer instinct.
You think so?
I was going to say the same thing. I think Claire is making a genius point. Yeah.
Wow.
I think you played it safe. I think you let fear take over.
I think so too,
So
George.
interesting, because I thought the opposite. I was like, I'm being so natural, and it's all in good time. I think it actually would have been even more threatening if I had kind of grabbed her by the shoulders and said, "Did you see my email?"
You could have done it more tactfully.
Yeah,
I think
my only
there
note.
is a way to sort of yeah, I don't know how you would do it, but there's got to be a way to be like, this is crazy, but I host a podcast that we talk about you once every 3 months.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the right line either.
This is
I've gotta
crazy,
say.
but I've been like, we like make jokes about you all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure she would love to hear that.
You could just say you make her recipes all the time. Did you do that?
Well, no, because I feel like that's what everyone.
Did you tell her
tells us.
about the gay straight vacation?
No. For all she knows, I had no idea who she was.
Yeah, right.
See, this is the hard thing about celebrities. This is the hard thing because you do want to express to them, like, you don't want to be, because it also feels like lying to be like,
Yeah.
pretending, like, I feel like I'm being like manipulative and pretending I don't know them because it's like, I know you, like, but
Right.
also like you don't want to like freak them out and have them like explain, like you don't want to go into Q&A mode.
Did you ask her what she did for a living?
I did not ask for that, but this reminds me of, do you remember, Sam, the incredible story that I told about someone I know who was at a dinner party with Sarah Bareilles, but didn't recognize her, didn't know who she was. So he was like, so what do you do? She's like, I'm a musician. And he's like, and he also has like he has like another career, but then he also plays guitar in his free time. And he's like, oh, me too. Like, we're like performing at this like venue, blah, blah. Where are you performing? And she was like, Madison Square Garden.
Whoa. That's crazy. That's also like the most classic sitcom setup in the book. Like,
Yeah.
No one intervenes in time.
Yeah. It's very
Yeah.
Marry Me
But
starring
she's
J-Lo and...
a gifted comedian.
Yes, I would agree. She should
Yeah.
tour with
So.
comedy.
I think so. Come on, Straightio.
Allison or Sarah Bareilles?
Sarah.
Oh,
Sarah
yeah.
Bareilles.
Oh, right. No, I want to say Sarah's actually, I think she's using music as a crutch.
That's a good. You know what? I'll say Sarah Bareilles really actually is an incredible, a gifted comedic performer.
Yeah, you're a huge fan.
I'm a huge fan. I'm actually, I would say, more of a fan of her comedic performing than her singing.
Oh, honey, I know. I get the Peacock logins.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think she's great in Girls Like That, but I also think in Into the Woods, she was giving you like old-timey comedy queen.
Explain.
Like the delivery of, I can't remember the exact lines, but it's like a line would be like, well, not that, you know, and she would like really sell it in a way that the average Broadway musical performer just doesn't have those chops. You know, I guess I'll take the second shift. You know,
Yes! It's sort of like a rare talent you don't see much anymore. And
No.
like stonemasonry, there aren't a lot of people left to teach that kind of comedy.
Yes, stonemasonry and delivering comedic lines on Broadway musicals are two dying forms.
I have a similar story of someone not recognizing a famous person. My friend was working at the Jane Hotel, and Kristen Wiig was having a party to celebrate getting nominated for an Oscar for writing Bridesmaids, I think. And so there's like a big guest list, and he's like checking people in at the door. And Kristen Wiig comes to the door and is like, "Yeah, I'm like, it's my party." And he was like, "What's your name?" And her name was not on the list because it was her party. So she was like, "It's Kristen Wiig." And he was like, "Yeah, sorry, you're not on the list." And
What?
like literally like held her at the door, and then like I think he like was not ever allowed to work like at an event again after that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
He's
you know,
pure
I'll
of
say this,
heart.
He's
he
pure of
is
heart.
pure of heart.
He
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
did not know
Heart.
who she was, and that was impressive to me.
I hope that he has learned since then and watched Bridesmaids.
I think he has learned who she is at least. I don't know if he's watched Bridesmaids, but I'll check in on that.
Well, step one. He was fired for not supporting women in comedy, and honestly, it was the correct choice.
Yeah. Could you imagine? I would be so upset if it was like an.
Yeah, me too. But also, I mean, okay, you like to think that you would find it funny.
You have to hope.
You gotta laugh.
Yeah, like if I'm celebrating being nominated for an Oscar, and I'm not on the list, that's funny.
Sure.
Yeah. You've already got your kudos. And it's probably just like a funny story to tell at that point. I don't want him to be too down on himself.
Yeah.
It's a fine line. You know, you have to first be objectively successful, and then you can laugh at yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. We're all working towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Slowly but surely.
I mean, as soon as Allison comes on.
Yeah, then we'll have made it.
I think you'll have Allison on in the next 3 months, truly.
Okay.
Wait,
and yeah, I'll pull some strings.
You should. Yeah, right.
No, I hate to say this, but I did actually email Allison Roman
Oh yeah, you did.
less than 2 weeks ago trying to get her to quote on something. I'm not going to say what.
Well, you know, I think
it's behind the paywall.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, it might, by the time this episode comes out, it will be out already, I think. So we can maybe, but well, let's just say you're writing a piece about a certain food that,
Right.
should we just do that? Like a certain food
something that I thought that, you know, 2-3 sentences from Allison Roman, it might add something to the piece.
Yeah. You were reaching out to various food influencers.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Emily Mariko did also not email me back.
But many people did.
A lot of people did.
And that's what matters.
And that's what matters. You got to focus on the wins.
And that's why I'm here. Exactly.
But I'll say this about Allison. You know, reading the draft, her silence was deafening.
I mean,
you know, I've read the draft, and there's an Allison Roman size shape hole in it. Let's just say that.
I agree. The shape of a shallot. Remember when Chrissy Teigen said she cried every time she saw a shallot now?
God, you know, Chrissy Teigen, let me tell you something. Did you see footage of Chrissy Teigen at BravoCon?
No.
So she apparently was at BravoCon just as an audience member, and the funniest thing that I heard was that at no point did Andy say hello to her or bring her up. She just like was there. I mean, she was in the VIP, I
It's
assume.
possible he didn't recognize her, like the Kristen Wiig situation at the Jane.
Yeah, yes, very much so.
It's just something that could have
She had to buy a GA ticket.
He didn't recognize her with her new eyebrow transplant.
No? Claire.
I need it.
She did
No.
have an eyebrow transplant that she is open about, so it's actually not offensive to bring it up.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not outing anything about her eyebrow transplant. She's actually done a lot for the community.
Yeah, and I have to
The
say,
community by being vocal about it.
And I want to say, if you did not know that Chrissy Teigen got an eyebrow transplant, you're not paying attention.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually need to do more. I had no idea, and that's really problematic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's a question. Should we do our first segment?
I think we should.
I agree. Even though I was
You
the one
guys
who brought it up.
wait, you have segments
Oh my
on the
God.
show?
Performance. Nominated for an Oscar.
Okay, Sarah Bareilles
You know-
found dead.
Yeah.
You know that I've asked George several times to sing the national anthem at the beginning of a StraightioLab live.
Wow. I had no idea that this has been
You know,
pitched.
that's something we should start doing is have a different person sing the national anthem.
The way
at the
that we
beginning of each episode.
absolutely need someone to sing the national anthem at the beginning of every StraightioLab live show. And
Yeah.
oh my
It
God.
doesn't have to be me. I can do it once. I can do the inaugural one if you want. I'm free.
That would be huge. No, we
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
have that. I want people to take their like little hats off and put them on their chest
Yeah.
or whatever.
And I just want to
And
say,
then
you know,
everyone in the front row is kneeling.
yeah, and when we say the national anthem, we are of course referring to "Fight Song" by Sarah Bareilles.
Yes. Sorry. I meant to clarify.
And I know it was clear for everyone who's a listener, but just in case that wasn't clear, Claire will be singing a fight song by Sarah Bareilles, and people will be kneeling in protest.
Wow. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
See you there.
Let's do our first seg.
Let's do it.
Our first segment is called Straight Shooters. And in this segment, we gauge your familiarity with and complicity in straight culture by asking you a series of rapid fire questions, this thing or this other thing, and you simply pick one.
Ah, beautiful.
Can you believe how good I've gotten at describing it?
I actually am gonna tear up and write a book about how proud of you I am.
I used to be so scared to describe this segment, and I don't even recognize that girl anymore because she is not me.
You know, you were in the beginning. You were a scrappy little nobody, Anna Kendrick, scrappy little nobody. Now you're Anna Kendrick at the peak of her powers when she was starring in the Into the Woods movie.
Wow. And that's huge.
Wow. All right, Claire,
Yeah.
Jack's wife Frida or my cousin Vinny?
Jack's wife Frida.
Okay. Wishing upon a star or mooning someone out of your car?
Mooning someone out of your car.
Claire, Lincoln in the Bardo or Margot at the wedding?
Ooh.
Choose. I gotta go with Margot at the wedding.
Okay, Claire. Mystery meat or easily recognizable vegetable?
Easily recognizable vegetable.
Okay, Claire, getting an MFA, joining the PTA, or wiping the DNA off the curling iron you used to murder your husband's cheating ass?
Wiping the DNA off the curling iron that I used to murder my husband's cheating ass.
So you admit it.
So you admit it.
So you admit it. Okay.
I plead the fifth for the rest of the segment. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, the summer of 69 or the winter of our discontent?
The summer of 69.
Ooh. Okay, Claire, learning to code, or you know what? I'll get that a la mode.
You know what? I'll get that a la mode.
Yum. Okay, Claire. A hung jury or a grower, not a shower judge?
A grower, not a shower judge.
Well, that one really got me.
Wow, I'm glad.
God, Sam, you still surprise me every time.
Yeah, mhm.
The joy it brings to me to hear these questions, it can't be overstated.
Well,
Can't be overstated.
and I just need
Claire-
to speak up and
Yes,
now
please
say
speak up.
that I have risen to your mood. I am in a good mood now. It's
Wow.
official. Yeah.
You're being a silly Billy.
It happened naturally. I'm there. I'm in it. There is an element where I keep having to remind myself, like, don't forget, this is being recorded.
In a good mood.
But
You're in a good mood.
Yeah.
I am in
now.
a good mood now.
You're
happened.
an
Yeah.
empath soaking it all up. Yeah.
Just a
You really
sponge.
are.
Yeah.
You're matching my energy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It was my fault for trying to force it. I should have.
No. You were trying to be a
Sam,
good
it was.
co-host. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Good
was
cop,
I
bad
being-
cop.
Yeah, or was I being selfish by being like, why aren't you more like me right now?
Oh,
Oh.
Oh.
Well, we'll leave it up to the readers.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I'll say this about Claire.
sorry, readers. Oh,
Claire, at first, your performance, I said, oh no, she is overselling how much she doesn't know about the segment.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
At first, I said, uh-oh, I don't want her to overact a la, Uma Thurman in most films.
Woo!
Right.
Teeth.
Whoa!
Okay, teeth. I did not know that's where that was going. Oh, whoa.
But then I thought, oh, she's making a choice.
Yeah,
Like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill.
exactly. So you're saying
And
that
so
I made
it's
a choice.
and so I think actually it was a perfect performance.
So to be clear, yeah, you're saying that Claire made a choice to be overacting and too much.
right.
In the beginning,
to ham it up.
yeah, to ham it up. I think you know what it
Wait,
was.
but was I hamming it up before the segment started or when you introduced the segment?
when
Because I was
yeah.
lying when you introduced the segment.
Exactly,
I knew the segment
exactly.
was coming.
Of
But
course,
during
of
it,
course.
that was genuine surprise, shock, laughter.
Yes, of course. During it, I thought you were great. I thought the fact that you answered, the curling iron one, like wiping the DNA off the curling iron, the fact that you remembered that word for word, had the confidence to choose it.
Yeah.
Okay. And is the segment over?
Yes. the
Oh
segment
yeah,
is over.
technically it's over.
Well,
This
how
is now this is now where we are rating you. We're
We're
giving
judging you.
verbal
Okay.
feedback.
Because I actually, this is what I was going to tell you before recording. I actually wrote some straight shooters for you guys.
Oh my god.
My God.
Oh my god. Overachiever
Yeah.
alert.
Okay. Wow.
This has like never been done.
Well, I wasn't going to do it because I didn't want you guys to think I was like a total kiss ass. Especially because, I'm George's executive assistant. And
So essentially this
Yeah.
is unethical.
he's a really generous boss.
Sure.
But I didn't want him to think like that I was jockeying for
Yeah.
super executive assistant.
course.
Or
I
maybe
mean, yes.
the whole company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's tough, because there's really no upward mobility with Claire's executive assistant role.
Oh, I'm sort of the creme de la creme at the top.
I keep telling her, yeah, maybe we can find a place for you in comms or in marketing. But listen, I'll be honest, there are no open positions.
Oh my god.
There is no path forward.
Okay, then I guess I can do the straight shooter.
I think you should. I think you have nothing to lose. You're in your reputation era. And I think your role as my executive assistant is kind of the ceiling, really, of where you can go in the company.
So you have nothing to lose, but at the same time you have nothing to gain, which makes it ethical.
Okay. If you guys get under 800 doves, George has to start paying for my health insurance.
Okay.
Fine. Health insurance
All
is
right.
really cheap. For us.
Yeah, I've heard the system for health insurance in this country is good.
Yeah. So fine. What's that? 25 a month? Good.
Yeah, fine. I don't care.
I don't care.
Oh my God. All right, Claire. I'm
Okay.
excited.
Yeah.
Well, wait, should I wait to hear? Do you guys want to rank me now or later?
Sure.
Oh,
What do you think,
Sure.
George?
wait.
Just give me my grade now.
Okay, I think. Well,
She needs
okay.
her grade, George.
I think that you were at a perfect score before you announced that you had prepared straight shooters yourself, and right now I can't decide if what you are doing is extra credit or if it's undermining us as hosts, in which case you would lose points. Sam, what do you think?
I'm going to go 837 doves.
Whoa,
That's really good.
that is really good.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
I wasn't expecting it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to undermine you. These will be
No.
slightly
No.
worse than yours.
No.
No.
No,
If they're
sweetie,
better,
no.
if they're better, Claire, you will have to leave the Zoom.
Okay. We'll see what happens.
Okay, we're ready.
So I guess roll the sound effects.
Yeah, those actually go in post. I don't know if you
This-
knew that.
It's
We don't
actually,
play
like,
them when
kind
we
of-
record. Isn't that
It's
crazy?
kind of jarring that you guys were just like doing it raw like that. Okay. I have them on my iPad.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I have an iPad.
Destigmatize the iPad now.
Destigmatize the iPad.
Some of our
Okay,
best
let
friends
me-
are iPad users. Sorry, keep going.
Wait, can I tell you what else I have?
Please tell us all of your goods.
An Apple Pencil.
That's like a stylus?
I love taking notes.
So you have an Apple Pencil. I didn't even know that was what that's called. And you take notes on your iPad.
Yes.
You prefer that to typing?
Well, I don't really do the pencil to text thing, but I like to annotate.
Oh,
yeah. Not for work, like for creative projects. What if I like showed you one of it and it was like I had done a drawing of on the iPad of like the sushi symbol? That's not what I'm gonna do, but okay, I'm actually ready to get started.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm a little nervous. Okay. Should I ask both of you and you answer in tandem? Yeah.
I kind of think we should answer in tandem, yeah.
Okay. And so you guys have to somehow say the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, ready? These are my straight shooters. Stampede at BravoCon or Stan Lee at Comic-Con?
Okay.
Stampede at BravoCon.
Yes. Okay. Running the dishwasher or running a 5K for the cure?
Running a 5K
for the cure.
You have to say it at the same time.
We did.
On Zoom, it's really hard. It's really hard on Zoom.
We did, actually. Yeah, so next.
Okay. This one is... Okay. Negroni Spagliato with Prosecco or processing intergenerational trauma with your nephew?
Processing intergenerational
trauma with your nephew.
Down bad or down blanket?
Ooh,
down blanket.
Down blanket.
Don't give up the ship or Alison Roman's creamy sesame turmeric dip?
Creamy sesame turmeric dip.
Turmeric dip.
Shape of the day at Pasta Louise or passing the LSAT with a plum and great ease?
Oh my God, Claire. Now you're just showing off.
That's amazing.
Okay. Passing the LSAT with a plum and great ease.
Perfect. This one is maybe going to be hard for me to get out. Not because it's like inappropriate. It's like there's wordplay.
Thank you for warning us.
Yeah, warning. Wordplay coming up. Trigger warning.
Ready? I hope that this doesn't come out after Halloween. But this Halloween weekend, cats kill girls. Or this Halloween weekend, Airbnb and the Catskills with the girls?
Okay,
wait. I don't think I understand the first part.
Okay, so this is like me introing a horror film. Like, this Halloween weekend, cats kill girls.
The film is called Cats Kill Girls.
So this is world building. You're creating a world in which this type of movie comes out.
I actually love. First of all, I think the title is so perfect and so now. It's kind of like Bodies esque. It's like winking at itself.
Completely.
It's like so literal.
And it's like, this group of girlies goes up to the Catskills for the weekend, cozy. But okay, the cats here?
Yeah, and they're killing the girls.
They're killer. Yeah.
So there's killer cats in the Catskills killing the girls.
Yeah, just when the black flame candle is lit, though, once every Hallows Eve.
Huh, that actually seems like beef. I think that you might get called out for sort of pulling from previous IP.
You're right. I take it back.
Wait, we need to decide. I think I'm all in on Cats Kill Girls.
I'm all in on Cats Kill Girls.
Cats Kill Girls.
Yeah.
But I also kind of want to... Well, let's finish. Was that your final one?
No way.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's finish, and then after that, I want to go back to Cats Kill Girls, because I want to kind of do a little... We can do a little...
a riff.
A treatment for it. A treatment for it that we can then submit to maybe... not actually A24. I think it's more of a Neon production.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if anyone...
down to have a little more fun.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it doesn't... we don't have, like, that weight on our shoulders either of, like, having to fit into what an A24 film looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm wondering if the same people that are listening that can hook you guys up with Alison Roman can also...
Hook us up with Neon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this podcast is only listened to by industry insiders. So I think that's actually huge. Like agents and managers. Agents and managers love this podcast. That's what people are always saying.
You know, if there's
Yeah.
one thing I've learned, it's that this podcast is listened to specifically by the community that is industry insiders with no actual power. It's
Yeah,
you know,
like
it's
us.
people that it's people that are inside the industry enough that it's flattering to me when they tell me they listen, but then when I'm like, what about? They're like, no.
Can't do it.
That is
Yeah.
so correct. That's actually the most accurate description of our audience I've ever heard in my entire life.
Very much so. They
Yeah.
somehow do all work in all the powerful industries,
Right.
and yet they are not
Tangential.
they're
Yeah.
tangential. Yeah. So it's not going to be the CEO of Neon.
No.
It's a podcast for the rest.
Right.
Wait, so you guys decided on cats kill girls.
Yes.
Oh yeah, keep going. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
I only have 6 more.
Oh my god.
Okay, we'll go fast.
Rapid fire.
Okay. Walking the dog or the dog walking you?
The
The dog walking you.
Nelson Mandela or the butterfly effect?
The butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect?
The Gettysburg Address or you wear those shoes and you will wear that dress. Oh, kiss me. You know the song?
Randomly, I'm gonna go Gettysburg Address.
Yeah, me too.
2 really noble creatures, you two. Okay, ready? Old enough to run errands in rural Japan for your mom. Or Mrs. Dalloway said she would buy the flowers herself.
The first one.
Old enough.
Old enough.
Old enough to run
to
errands.
run
Run errands for
errands.
your mom in Japan.
Rural
Yeah.
Japan.
Rural Japan.
Japan.
Yeah. Okay, 2 more.
Okay.
Squashing lanternflies or would you love me if I was a worm?
Squashing lanternflies.
Yeah, squashing lanternflies.
So you guys are saying you wouldn't love me if I was a worm?
Oh my gosh, it was
No,
a
we're
trap.
saying the question is preposterous.
Okay, final one. Pleading guilty or pleading innocent due to reasons of insanity?
Pleading innocent.
Pleading
due to
innocent due to reasons of
insanity.
insanity. God,
That was
I've
really-
always wanted to do that. That is such a slay.
Me
to be
too,
like,
but it's
I didn't
really
do
hard.
it. Like being like, I was insane that time.
You did a really good job. It wasn't good enough to get me health insurance from George's LLC, but it was really good. I would say it was like 780 doves.
Oh wow,
Wow.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a
Well,
really good score.
Thank you for sharing. No one's
That
ever
was
done
incredibly
that before.
powerful.
Yeah.
No one has done that before.
We've done it. They've done it at live shows, but that's it.
Okay.
I think that we should introduce our topic. Claire, you brought a topic to us that is so juicy. And actually I would say Halloween adjacent.
You're right.
And would you like to introduce what it is?
Yes. So I wanted to talk today about overhead lighting.
Wow.
I wanted to bring it to you both today because I think it's an instinct, particularly that straight men go for. This very like institutional and therefore extremely oppressive, bright, sometimes halogen, just, sometimes run of the mill 60 watt, raining down on you. It's certainly to turn on an overhead light is like a decision from someone who has never been afraid to be them in public.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, you're like, sure, I guess we can light my body in whichever way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also thinking this one light suffices for every single bit of facial definition on any sort of body or any sort of person. Yeah, I really think that it's actually something that people who don't have to think about mood or setting just go straight for.
I think that's a genius topic. I hate overhead lighting, of course. I'm not insane. But
Me too.
I wish it worked. Like there is something about like how nice to just like walk into a room and flip the switch and the big light up top comes on and everything is beautifully lit.
It's too good to be true.
It's,
and can I tell you
that's
something?
the thing.
That's kind of how so much of straight culture is that way. You're like, oh, how nice if the nuclear family worked. It doesn't. This is the kind of running theme with many of these straight topics. It's like, well, yeah, they're too good to be true. I mean, it would be great if, how convenient if there were two different kinds of gender and we could divide people 50-50. That sounds mathematically so convenient. Honey, it doesn't work.
Right. It just ain't so.
It just ain't so. I mean, it's this overhead lighting is kind of the rejection of nuance. It's like, oh yeah, no one. It doesn't matter what anyone's angles are. It doesn't matter what anyone looks like. It doesn't matter, you know, what the different time of day is. Just put light somewhere. Well, no.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
And I think it does work for people who have power.
Say
And
what?
I mean, don't even get me started on the hegemony of Con Ed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I
Uh-oh.
actually do want you to get started.
Yeah, please get started on that.
Listen, it's not right that we have privatized power and water in this country.
Okay, you are actually hitting the nail on the head here, which is that it not only is overhead lighting aesthetically bad, it is quite literally a conspiracy. It's like we are paying to look ugly.
Exactly.
We're
exactly.
paying a private corporation monthly. We're paying rent. We're paying rent to a company whose job it is to make us look as ugly as possible.
Entirely.
In front of our friends and loved ones.
I know. And I'm saying, like, if I had, I live in Brooklyn, but if I had a little tiny solar power grid,
Sure.
I ostensibly could run all of the lamps in my bedroom, but I couldn't fund the overhead light like that.
No.
So it's wasteful too.
Well, there's also like ways to, I guess this is the point that I've of course been making and planning to make all along.
Of course.
Okay, so I think that there is a certain queerness to adapting to dimmer lights. There's a reason why we say things are in the shadows or under the covers. That originally was an act of resistance against overhead lighting. And yet community was found in these sort of shadowy spaces, these sexier lit boudoirs, these tavernas, these restaurantes.
I cannot believe how genius you are. This is
So smart. I mean, literally, like, gay bars, like, have a dark room. Like, need I say more?
Right.
Like, the darkness
Please.
is necessary for queer culture, whereas straight culture is obsessed with light.
right. And for so often, queer people were erased by the official by official government bodies. I'll go so far as even to say that. And overhead lighting is the official lighting of government buildings. It's everywhere you go.
Completely.
You know, you go to the DMV, you go to the courts to be tried for sodomy. You know,
Completely. George, try this. You go to a freaking high school.
You go to a high school.
You go to a
my
high school.
God.
I've never seen a high
overhead.
school. I've never seen a high school with tasteful lamps.
And why not? And why not?
And why not?
You can get a tasteful lamp. It's not hard.
They keep libraries cold
Yeah.
and they keep schools overlit as a means of control.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
It's carceral. Overhead lighting is carceral.
It's carceral.
Quite frankly.
Well, I mean, don't even get me started on prisoners of war.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, we can't.
Okay, yeah, maybe don't get started on that.
we actually can't go there if we want to get Allison Roman on
But
the
it does.
pod.
But it does kind of make you think, like, wow, what a utopian vision for all these different places to, rather than have overhead lighting, have a bunch of cute vintage lamps. You know, maybe like a little a lamp with, you know, kind of like an Etsy lamp made of shells, or like a really designy Danish lamp that you found
Right.
at an estate sale.
It's
Imagine
eclectic.
Yes. Like how much more welcoming would, let's say you go to jury duty, it's time to hear what the case is about. How cute would it be if there was a little if there was a little, you know, lamp with a kind of pink hue, you know, maybe homemade. The artist signed it. She's from Kentucky.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Part of the profit goes to like queer youth. Like, oh my God,
Yeah,
that would
exactly.
be amazing.
Or even just local theater.
Local theater.
I guess
Yeah,
that's the
like-
same as queer youth.
Yeah.
Sort of keep the cash in the community, though. It's not a
Right.
national organization for
No.
queer youth and theater. It's, you know, specific to your neighborhood.
Yeah.
I mean,
in
basically,
Kentucky.
I think what I'm getting from all of this is like, rather than Con Ed being a private corporation that makes us pay it for our own, you know,
Our own, dare I say, oppression.
Yeah, but it's oppression, but it's also kind of I mean, it's a sort of dysmorphia.
We're paying to have dysmorphia.
Exactly. We're paying to have dysmorphia. Rather than a private corporation profiting off of our dysmorphia, what if basically we replaced Con Ed with a LGBTQ nonprofit that that gave out either designer lamps or homemade Etsy lamps.
Yes.
And then all the money from that went to funding arts education.
Yeah, and the NGO is called the Lightbringers.
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, and the logo is like a little kind of a little queer kid holding a candle.
Oh my God, it's Lady Liberty holding the torch, but instead of Lady Liberty, it's like a little kid.
Yes.
Wearing a play crown.
Yeah, and actually torches and candles are good. It's like, that's the ultimate
I mean, candles are resistance.
Aesthetic lighting.
Candles are absolutely resistance because you're even saying, I'm going off the grid tonight, and yet I'm still getting what I need, and I'm still getting light.
Exactly. Yes. I'm still
One of the
able
most
to read forbidden fiction, for example.
Of course.
Oh, only because there's cameras in those lights, those overhead lights. People are watching. And the candle says, no more surveillance state. It's saying, I'm reading my banned book here in my cabin. In an empowering, beautiful way.
To be wearing a nightgown, holding a candelabra.
Yes.
No one does that
I
anymore.
feel like
that
guy is really trending right now, though. That guy, like the honk shoe me guy. The guy in the stocking cap. Like, we're seeing a lot of memes of him as a concept lately.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I actually think like a lot of memes usually do come from queer culture, specifically, I think Black queer culture. And listen, I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I do think that when something is welling up originally on Twitter with young queer creators, it's going to make its way to public consciousness in about 7 months.
Sure.
And do you think that right now, as queer creators, we are generating buzz for an anti-overhead lighting craze that's going to sweep the nation in approximately 7 months?
Absolutely, and that is why I came here today.
Yes.
Well, I think, Claire, you're even saying one step further than that. Is it's not just little lights that are going to be everywhere. It's honk shoe me guys. It's candelabra guys. It's nightgown guys. Like right now, it's like it's carrying, it's like house down boots mama. In 7 months, it'll be candelabras, nightgowns, honk shoe me.
Completely.
It does seem like the final frontier of fashion is just wearing a nightgown, holding a candelabra, walking down Fifth Avenue.
We're basically already almost there. I mean, don't even get me started on nap dresses.
This episode could literally be called "Don't Get Me Started."
The amount of things I can't say on this podcast because y'all are corporate now.
No. We have to actually talk about nap dresses, because nap dresses, I think, are... If candelabra and nightgown is queer, nap dresses are trying to package that and sell it, and that's unethical.
I completely agree. It's basically Pave Paradise put up a parking lot.
Wow. Huge shout out to Joni.
It's appropriation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Well, that's really powerful.
How do you feel about, like, I think we're used to... Of course, we are surrounded by our queer chosen family, so there's a lot of cute lamps everywhere. But sometimes you do enter an apartment and you see someone still living under overhead lighting. What?
Right.
And Sam, you've had that experience. Actually, we've had it together.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You had a violent reaction once when we entered a space that had overhead lighting.
Well,
I
was going into a space that was a party space that I actually thought was a space for allies, as the people who lived there were in a queer relationship with each other,
Allegedly.
An alleged same-sex relationship. And so I walk into this party space expecting utopia, of course. In my day-to-day, it's just straight. And I thought, wow, Friday night, I can go be queer and empowered in a space.
Yeah.
And I get there, the lights are fully on. Overhead lighting, and the craziest part, apartment, beautiful, walls painted beautifully, it's decorated like gorgeously, and then the overhead lights are bright and shiny, not even dimmed, just
in every room,
bright overhead lights.
Every single room?
Yeah,
Yeah.
every room.
And so, as a radical act of resistance, I started turning
my
lights
God.
off.
I cannot believe you did that.
At the part, how many people
Yeah.
were at the party?
I'd say
Well, it was a pretty full house.
yeah, like let's say like 30 to 40.
And did people think that you were turning the lights off because you were trying to like get it sexy in there? Like, were people taking your act? Were they receiving it in bad faith?
I think they were receiving it in good faith. I felt like they were like I think a majority of the party goers were like, thank you for this.
Got it.
And then then the lights were in fact turned back on by potentially
host?
a tyrant host.
Whoa. Whoa.
No, the host was fine. I would understand.
It's difficult because, people have internalized the overhead lighting mentality. It's like being gay and wanting to serve in the military.
It's absolutely
on.
like that.
Well, you're like, you kind of think, I mean, to me, it's like, thank God I'm gay. I don't have to go to the military. But then some people are like, I still want to. You're
Right,
well,
I can do anything that they can do. I want to be in
exactly.
army.
Well, right, and similarly, you can be gay and be like, I can have overhead lighting.
You can be like that, yeah.
I think like what I learned from this experience, it was sort of a parable for like going through the proper channels. Like if I had, it's sort of changing the system from within the system, I should have discussed it with the host, sort of pitched a change, and me just doing sort of like guerrilla lighting warfare was maybe not the most effective way to get the lighting changed in the party.
No, I think it was really brave of you.
It was very much like those girls throwing soup at the painting.
It
was grassroots.
Epic.
That was everything. That was honk shoo me me me, mama.
They tore that. They ate.
When we were talking about this on like Friday or whatever day that soup incident was, George kept being like, it's behind glass.
I was not the one that said that.
Wait, who said it?
Sarah said that, and then I was kind of like, I was getting a little, I was like, okay, just because it's behind glass doesn't mean they should have thrown soup at it.
And what were they protesting again?
Climate.
Oil.
Oil. Okay. But what's ironic, if you got, they glued themselves to the wall or something. If you've got super glue or sticky stuff on your hand or whatever, a little bit of olive oil or a little bit of grapeseed oil is going to get you unstuck.
Wow.
Right. So, wow, that's so fascinating that they created a situation where they actually needed more oil.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
That's
they
pretty
should have
hypocritical.
consulted with me.
That's really hypocritical.
Yeah, and yet we're talking about it, aren't we? Days later.
Yeah, I guess
honestly,
so. I guess so.
I stand. I'm like, I've always been like, why aren't there more like climate terrorists? That seems like the most obvious thing to be a terrorist about.
I completely listen. I don't like actually earnestly want to debate this, but I'm also like, why?
He does.
He does.
Why the R? Like, just why don't you throw a soup can at like a politician? Now that I would be in support of.
No, I agree with that.
I agree. And well, was it about like, where is that painting, by the way? Where was that?
The Louvre, maybe?
No one knows. No one knows. It hasn't been reported.
Let's say it's at the Louvre.
Yeah.
Maybe they were doing something like maybe the Louvre needs to divest from.
No, it was that was part of it, and I did read that, and I.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Also,
so,
George, maybe it was like an open mic, like climate terrorist thing. Like maybe they're like practicing before the politicians.
I completely agree. Actually, that's a really good point. There should be more open mics for climate terrorism where you can try out different grassroots direct action methods, and then people will be like, oh, maybe not the soup one.
Yeah, that didn't quite work,
Yeah.
but the soup was really working, but maybe the location was off. So
exactly.
Yeah, those girls are like going from mic to mic doing the soup thing and being like, ugh, it's just not hitting. Like, I feel like it works in Brooklyn rooms, but not in Manhattan rooms.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God.
Yeah, this crushed at Pine Box, but then when we did it at the Louvre, it like didn't work.
audiences at their Louvre are so like rigid, It's
It's
because they're all
crazy.
tourists.
It's all tourists,
Yeah.
and they like, don't speak English, and so you're like doing your soup can bit, and they like don't even get it.
Right.
And they miss a lot of the nuances of the joke, and maybe they don't understand like why it's a soup can or the context for it. But at the same time, like I'm not gonna change for them. Like I will throw the soup onto the painting.
Yeah.
Wait, can I ask you guys as comedians something?
Yeah.
What was the joke of the soup can?
Like why they chose soup rather than any other liquid. You mean?
Well, actually, I want to clarify something. It was beans. It was a tin of beans.
Oh,
And no one's reporting that.
people have been misreporting that.
It's
And
a tin of beans.
That's why you're a journalist.
Thank
Oh,
you.
wow, Claire.
Yeah. I guess my question is, what was the joke? And like, was it a visual prank? Was it wordplay on tin of beans or something? Like, why did they do it? What's the funny part?
Well, I think you're pointing to the issue, which is
It
that,
wasn't
of
funny
course-
enough.
which is, of course, that like, comedy has to have a clear target, a clear purpose, a clear point of view, and there was something a little broad about throwing soup at a painting.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It was giving sitcom. It was very much, it was very.
It was
kind of-
extremely multicam.
Yes, it was very multi.
You were like expecting a laugh track.
It was, slipping on shaving cream.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But you know what, though? On the other hand, to play devil's advocate, sometimes you need multicam methods to appeal to a mass public. The
Well,
average
and this
person
is
doesn't
exactly
have
what I'm
time.
saying.
Yeah, the average person doesn't have time to like.
Sam
really...
has been saying that, yeah.
Yeah. The average person doesn't have time to like think about the specifics of a direct climate action act. They just will remember the soup, the beans.
Yeah.
Completely, yeah. But I think we've done more for awareness in the last 10 minutes talking about this than any headline I've read so far.
Completely agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you guys were going to commit one terrorist act to get people to get rid of their overhead lighting, what would it be?
Oh, that's such a good question.
I know exactly what I'd do.
What
Okay,
would you
what
do?
is it?
Lighting aisle at Target, bucket of pig's blood. So it's
Need
a
I say
symbolic
more?
act.
Yeah,
Need I
yeah.
say more? I do not have to explain that one.
So it's interesting, Claire, you're going for a destructive path. I'm going to go for a more
Enlightened.
Yeah.
George
So here's
over.
what I'm gonna do, and this is actually the opposite of Claire's strategy. Is rather than destroying overhead lighting, I'm going to add non-overhead lighting. So I'm gonna get a bunch of homemade Etsy lamps
Cute.
and go around to government buildings and put them on desks, put them on counters, put them on like in the office, in the cubicle of someone who works at the DMV. And I am adding beauty to people's world.
I
Wow,
love
that's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's kind of Banksy,
Yes,
That is
very
really
Banksy.
Banksy.
who is a terrorist, by the way.
Yeah.
Banksy's
Yeah.
a terrorist. You heard it here first.
That's what we heard in the art community. The worldwide art community.
Which of which we are a part.
Sam, what would you do? I mean, I guess, Sam, to be honest, what started this conversation is your own direct action that you did at a friend's house. If I
Yeah.
were to have one criticism, it would be that you're going, rather than thinking big and going to a government building, you're in fact terrorizing a friend's apartment.
Right.
It's very like the queer community turning in on itself. It's
Yeah.
Exactly.
it's very toxic.
It's very bros discourse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love. Yeah.
I think
the
actually
personal is political.
Well, that's so true, and no one's saying that. I think honestly, my dream protest would be. Unfortunately, you have to start by getting like nominated for an Oscar and even winning, and then
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
have like instead of going like they'd be like, okay, and now best actor in a drama, Sam Taggart. I'm gonna win for that, and then
I love that.
and then
Wow.
I'm not there, and instead I'm in the back and I turn off all the lights.
Wait, that's so powerful.
Right.
Wow. I
Yeah.
have chills.
Actually, I have a better idea than what I told you guys about the pig's blood.
Okay, what is it?
I was a little inspired by Sam. Okay, we're in a huge party in a warehouse space.
Oh, Bushwick. Ooh, sounds very Bushwick.
Bushwick Nights, ...
Okay, it's
Yeah.
that girls episode where Shosh does crack.
The Cracksident, yeah.
Yeah.
Accident. Yeah.
The three of us are vibing in the middle. Basically, what's going to happen is we are not lit by overhead lights in the warehouse because it's a converted space. Maybe twinkle lights, maybe fairy lights, Christmas lights.
Sure.
Something happens where in the heyday of whatever this factory is that we were in, that was all overhead lights. They have the mechanism all installed. I turn them on.
Wow.
Whoa.
Everyone's like, what the freak is going on? Everyone's attention, they look up. Then it pitches into total blackness.
Whoa.
And then one spotlight comes on. everyone's Claire, Claire, Claire. Okay, everyone's cheering my name. Bucket of pig's blood.
Wait.
But wait, Claire.
Claire, I can't help but feel that
Claire,
you're centering yourself in this narrative in a way that's not necessarily helpful to the cause.
Oh, and also, yeah, it's a short film also.
Oh, and then you screen it.
Taylor Swift directs it.
Oh.
And it's a music video for Midnights, the album.
Yeah, it's for Karma.
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
So once again, the political messaging is really getting lost, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I also have one more question. So when you so the pig's blood, where's that going? You've turned off the lights, you've turned on the spotlight, everyone's screaming your name, and then who do you douse in pig's blood?
Yourself?
I forgot to tell you that we took a Chevron executive out for his birthday.
Oh. Okay, so this is all okay. So you're actually not centering yourself. You really are. You have a good target of your critique. You have like a full-on Chevron executive.
And I'm sort of like being in a honeypot situation where I'm like luring him to the club.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't mean to flatter myself. We could get an actress in there if we need to.
No, it could be you. That could be cool. I believe in you.
Claire, believe in yourself.
Okay, you're right. I look amazing.
You can seduce a Chevron executive.
George, do you mean that?
I do.
He really means that.
Thank you so much.
I believe all of my friends could seduce a Chevron executive. It's
If
part
you
of the
really
bar.
believe in yourself, basically anyone can. And to be honest, no offense to Chevron executives, like
Yeah.
I
You
don't
think they're a homely bunch?
Yeah, like I think it'll be easy. I've seen Hustlers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think what we're pointing to is like people. I think a lot of people, when they think about seducing a Chevron executive, they think about their body and they think about their looks, and it's like actually it's all about personality when you're seducing a Chevron executive, and like.
Totally. They're not shallow people.
And it's about self-love. Like,
Yeah.
if you love yourself, then you can. Then a Chevron executive will love you falsely,
Yeah.
under false pretenses.
You know, Claire, I have to say, I can't help but feel that you were inspired by the Soup Girls and that now you're actually doing oil activism rather than overhead light activism. Like,
You know what? The second that I said Chevron, I was like, oh, shoot. I think we were actually talking about Con Ed.
oh, right.
Right.
Earlier.
So it would be a Con Ed executive.
Well, I guess Chevron's in on it, too. There's
Yeah,
got to
I
be
guess
some
that's
colluding, you know, between
course,
the
of
two.
course.
There's always some colluding.
It's always.
Well, I guess that's kind of how it connects is that oil, like those girls in a way were protesting overhead lighting.
Right.
I mean, it's all
because of
linked.
Synergistic linking.
And also they're doing it in a museum, one of the main places that has overhead lighting.
Truly.
And can I just say, wait, museums though, they kind of make overhead lighting look good.
Well, yeah, it's because
Holy moly.
How do they do
You
that?
got-
No, it's true.
You're always complicating things on this show, and that's what I love about StraightioLab. That it's
Yeah.
like we think we reach a conclusion, and then there's a little bit of a twist of the knob there.
100%. And I actually really think what Sam is saying is so important because museums in some ways are actually the worst offenders of all this because they make it look good, which then encourages the proliferation of overhead lighting because everyone's like,
Wow.
well, if it's good enough for the Met, it's good enough for my party.
That is
Completely. Sorry,
so
Mars
true.
was just barking. That is so true.
Wow.
Wow. And I'm even thinking about museum selfies. Yeah, I'll take a museum selfie, but I'm not taking a selfie anywhere else unless it's like I have, like a vintage Hermes scarf placed over the lamp.
Of course.
feel so sexy in a damn museum. How do they do it? We actually need to talk to a lighting expert now.
It might be that, or it might just be like because there are docents and security guards around, like there's an inherent sexiness to that. Like
Law enforcement is sexy to you?
Is that on record?
they don't have guns, okay?
Sure. And they're protecting the art.
There's something about like the forbidden fruit of it all.
Sure,
Of course.
sure.
Right.
A lot to chew on.
Yeah. I feel like this, this is very much nevertheless she persisted. I think there was a point where I think we all were like, oh no, is this recording ruined? And then it was
Right.
like, actually, no, this is proving that out of darkness comes light.
Oh.
And can I actually say one more thing? The fact that I turned my camera off is the ultimate fuck you to overhead lighting. Because not only am I in the
Completely.
darkness, I am fully blacked out.
Yes.
Oh my God, you're right.
Wow.
You're really well lit in your profile photo, though.
Yeah, say that.
Thank you very much.
There's a tiny George icon of him speaking into a microphone in
Yeah.
place of George's actual physicality on our screens right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer to send a headshot rather than a video.
Should we do our final segment?
I think we must. I mean, if only I had an idea of what mine would be. But
Oh, I have one.
Ooh.
But you can will you explain it?
yes, I will explain it. Claire, our final segment is called sorry. God.
Oh, again?
Oh my God.
Because I've got
man.
more.
She's losing it, folks. Our final segment is called Shout Outs. And in this segment, we pay homage to one of the founding art practices of straight culture, which is the radio shout out. Think TRL, think Z100, Z Morning Zoo. And so we are going to give shout outs to things that we are absolutely living for and cannot get enough of and and things that are slaying in our lives. And Sam, would you like to go first?
I would like to go first. What's up, freaks, losers, and perverts around the goddamn globe? I would like to give a huge shout out to Janusz from the Great British Bake Off. That's right.
Yes!
I am soft. I am watching the Great British Bake Off. My alternative indie days are dead in a ditch.
Oh.
I am normal. I'm in the monoculture. And I just want to say that Janusz has stolen my heart. This Polish baker, every time he's on screen, I say, who is this man? I have not had a crush on a reality TV show contestant in such a long time, and ooh, baby, does it feel good. I am thinking about following him on Instagram, and I think it will be boring, and I think I will regret it in 2 years. But for the first year, it could be exciting to see what his life is like. He is a cutie patootie, and his baking is good, and I root for him every time. Great British Bake Off. I am a fan now, a little late, but not too late. XOXO, Sam. Woo!
Wow.
I love him.
He's so
Okay.
sweetie.
He's a cutie.
I have one. Okay. What's up, everybody out there? It's me. I've made it just in time with a shout out for the day. You might not be able to see me, but you will hear me. I want to give a shout out to framing family photos and putting them on surfaces around your home.
Aw.
You know, these days, we're all on our computers.
So
we're
true.
all on social media.
Yep.
We think photos are just digital. We think, oh, click, click, click. Let me see someone's Instagram story. Well, I'm here to tell you physical media is back. And it's back in the form of mid-priced picture frames that I bought at a store and that I am putting photos that I printed out in so that when I walk around my house, I see my sisters, I see my parents, I see my boyfriend's siblings, I see my boyfriend's parents, and I say, we are one big happy family, we are biological family, we are chosen family, we are adopted family. Every kind of family is represented.
Wow.
And you can do it too. And you think, oh, it's so expensive to decorate. No, it's not. Go buy a picture frame, bitch.
Woo! Woo!
Woo!
Call to action. A rousing call to action.
Wow. Claire,
whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay, I think I have one. Okay. What's up, sluts and what's up, sluts and gentlemen? Okay, it's Claire here. I want to shout out today for all my friends at home, particularly highlighting those that keep a designated pair of scissors in the kitchen.
Woo!
It's a lot easier to cut herbs than it is to improve your knife skills. I want to shout out a pair of regular Fiskars scissors that I've been keeping in my knife stand because I like to cut sage, dill, thyme, parsley, chives, and basil over a salad. And that's actually something that I learned from Allison Roman's Dining In.
Woo!
Oh my God, we really
Wow.
brought it back.
Brought it back. That was an incredible way to end. Oh my goodness.
Wow. I feel energized. I mean, even though I came in energized, as people might remember, I actually feel even more energized.
I feel good too.
I feel incredible. Claire, this has been an amazing episode. Thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's the pleasure of a lifetime.
I'm going to attempt to start my video just to say goodbye. And if it ruins everything, I will eat crow.
Okay, George is in tears.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Claire. That was so much fun.
Okay,
That
that
was
was
so fun.
amazing. I loved doing StraightioLab.